God, and dear man, I take you far away under the sycamore trees.
And welcome to Twin Peaks Unwrapped. I'm your host, Ben Durant, and beside me is...
Bryon Kazaska.
Hey, Bryon, we've got Laura Stewart from 25 Years Later site. Hi, Laura.
Hi, how are you?
Great. You know, I know all month long, 25 Years Later is doing Twin Peaks month. So it's so exciting. I love that you guys are always doing Twin Peaks, but you guys got a lot of other things going on. But to have the whole month focus on Twin Peaks, it's really exciting.
It is. And I think we've got almost a brand new article almost every day. So there's been a lot of work.
And of course, we're doing this because February 24th is Twin Peaks Day. So why not? And instead of making it just one day, why not make it a whole month?
A whole month.
Exactly. Yes. Well, I think with Laura Palmer's end of her life and then Coop's arriving in town, it was important to use all of February's.
Definitely. So you got an article, depending on when people are listening, either it's out or it's coming out soon. Can you tell us about this article that you've been working on?
Yeah, so we're covering Laura Palmer's secret diary, and every Friday we're releasing a new article, and I'm writing about probably the sad side of it. I'm writing about the perspective of Laura as a girl who was abused by her father, solely that perspective, and how the trauma of that shaped her young life and eroded her mind, I think. And it led her to drugs and to having dangerous sex with other men. So I'm also going to look at her dreams and in the diary and what her subconscious was telling her. And I suppose my perspective is that Bob wasn't real at all and she made him up. And I suppose she created the monster in her mind to cover up the fact that it was her father. So I'm looking at it from that somewhat depressing perspective.
That is that's a very controversial perspective. I don't think I've ever heard anybody mention it that way. She's creating Bob to kind of.
Yeah, no, it's not. What many people would agree with. I think.
I agree with it. If anything, I think we always hint around it that we say Bob is the evil that men do, and that evil man is her father, and for her.
But this is saying she is creating Bob. So Laura Palmer.
That's a sort of a screen memory type thing, something to cover up the fact that she didn't want it to be her father that was doing this to her. So she created something sort of mystical to take away from that pain. That's not to say that Bob isn't real, but because Bob can be anybody. And I think it's just, but I suppose in a weird way, I'm getting to the feeling that the whole dream situation is Laura and that Cooper was her fantasy and everybody was her fantasy maybe. Ooh. So she was just covering up the fact that all this terrible stuff was happening to her.
I like that. I can see that. And
yeah. You know what it reminds me of, Laura? Have you ever seen the movie Sucker Punch?
No, I haven't.
It reminds me, the movie's a little out there, but it's layers upon layers. These women are in a psych ward, and they're being lobotomized, and one of the people are essentially raping them. They are using, it's like Inception almost, so they're conquering their fears inside their mind, and there's layers upon layers.
And they're very strong women. They fight, and they
there's an action movie.
It's very stylistic. And it's a beautiful film.
But when you take away all that, it's really these women are being abused, and they're using they're creating a world where they conquer. Laura would be creating this world of Twin Peaks, as you're saying, and Cooper to kind of escape what the horrible things that are happening to her. Yeah.
The fantasy of the White Knight coming to save her. I mean, I believe that everything in the book was probably really happening to Laura. Well, it definitely was really happening to Laura, but then anything actually seen on screen then, other than Fire Walk with Me, was all just a fantasy. After her death, even like a post-death fantasy, or this is what actually is going to happen to me. Someone's going to come and save me, and I'm going to be alive. And it obviously didn't turn out for the best.
And of course, if you have the audiobook version of The Secret Diary of Laura Palmer, you have Cheryl Lee reading it, and she's also reading. She's actually performing both Laura and Bob and stuff like that, which I think even goes more into what you're saying in some ways, that it's all in her mind and she's creating this other character.
Yeah.
Don't wake Mom and Dad now, or they'll know you've been out. They'll have questions you can't answer. Think. I'm going crazy, pacing and struggling with thoughts, words, the image of that haunting grin. Stay away from me, Bob. I can do whatever I want. Stay away from this house. Leave me alone, or I swear I'll find a way to make you sorry. Can't feel sorry, Laura Palmer.
That's it, because, who really would have had access to her diary, I think? Obviously her father did, but he wasn't writing in it.
Yeah. And how does this play? How does season 3 play into this?
Or does it?
I still think. Well, I think I haven't really thought too deeply about that, but the whole dream within a dream thing. I think I don't really want to go too far into dreams, and I think JC is going to go more into her dream theory, which may touch on this a bit, so I don't want to go too far with that. But I think I do think a lot of season 3 is a dream, not all of it, but I think perhaps the two of them could have existed both. Cooper did really exist, and that their dreams obviously connected in a way, and so they probably do both exist, and they both exist in each other's dreams. Perhaps all of season 3 could be Cooper's dream, but he's not actually helping Laura.
Yeah.
We've had Rob King on the show before, and we had him on one time. I spoke with him when we had the Max comic book, and in that storyline, Julie Winters actually kind of creates this whole world because of the trauma that she's had to deal with and stuff. And I definitely could see this. As a writer, how was it for you to have to dive into this subject? For me, even thinking about it, it's uncomfortable. It's hard to think about.
It's quite a personal thing for me. I've kind of talked about it and written about it quite a lot, but my best friend died a few years ago, and just before her death, I found out that she'd had a life very, very much like Laura Palmer. She didn't took her own life. I found out very much later on, we were friends since we were 3, that her dad had been abusing her all her life. So, and she turned to heroin and various other forms to get to numb the pain of that. And it is pretty personal for me. And, we went through a lot together. I was the Donna of the relationship, I guess. So, I that's a reason why I wanted to write it, I think.
Yeah.
Because it isn't just about Laura Palmer. It's about millions and millions of women all over the world who this is happening to day in, day out. And we still don't really talk about it much.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, we're warned about strangers all the time, but actually it's the people in your home that are far more likely to do it.
Yeah. What would you say to young women who are in that situation? Like, where can they go and what can they do in situations?
That is really difficult because a lot of the time people don't talk about it, and a lot of girls don't even know that it's not the right thing until they realize that it didn't happen to anyone else. So it's not until adulthood that they realize, and that by that point they may be in such a terrible place like Laura Palmer that there isn't much help. But I think education, really, I think this kind of thing needs to be taught more at school than when kids are much younger, that this isn't a normal thing. So.
Right. And I actually, it's not really connected. I don't know if it is connected, but I think about this Me Too movement in some ways. That I think when people are starting to be educated, that you have
it's out there.
It's out there. It should be. I think it should be obvious that you respect everybody, you treat everybody right and stuff. But at least it's making it more right, that more aware now that
they can't get away with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. Absolutely. It's so much more likely to be a family member or a family friend. So I think it's just getting girls to realize that it's not normal if this happens to you. And I think we are in a time where that is out there now, which is good.
And so how is your article structured? Do you have sections that, or like, how do you put this together?
I'm kind of looking at it from a very psychological perspective of a general person who has had this happen to them, the signs of abuse, I guess. So it might be like nightmares, screen memories, or turning to drugs and alcohol, being perhaps over sexually active, all these things, all these signs add up. And I suppose it's really obvious from the secret diary, reading it from Laura's point of view, that this is what was happening to her. But even then, I think even when the diary was written, as far as I'm aware, it was written in between 2 series, possibly.
Yeah, between season 1 and 2. I mean, it came out. I believe it came out over the summer.
Yeah, you always tell me the summer.
I want to say it came out this summer. It was out by September of 1990. So I think.
Yeah, we didn't know at that point that Leland was the murderer.
Right.
So
and
it's quite revealing that they brought it out in between the 2 series.
And some people who say they read it, it became obvious to them that like once they read it, they said, "Oh, there's so many signs to say that it was Leland." But
Ben had me read the book between the 2 seasons when I was doing my first rewatch and
my
first watch, and I mean, there's that whole thing about going out into the woods and everything, and I'm just kind of like, oh, this is kind of weird. It could be the dad, like.
Yeah.
A book in and of itself, or is this a book that's going to be used in the second year of Twin Peaks?
Well, hopefully it will stand on its own as a book of a diary of a young girl who was troubled, to say the least, as well. But it does play an important part in next season and will be discovered. So did your dad come to you and say, I want you to... Was there a script for the second season of the show from which you wrote this? Or did you sort of make this up and he said, I will weave some of this into the series? Goodness, I was briefed beforehand, offered the position, accepted it, and then briefed, taken basically into a dark room, and David and Mark both looked at each other and said, well, I guess she needs to know. And I was told who the killer was.
You were?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, hold on, folks. You can guess what the next question's going to be.
Yeah, I can't tell you that.
What do you mean you can't tell me?
I can't tell you.
Nobody's listening.
I know you're lying to me.
Well, everybody lies in the series. Why not do it here?
Hey, no, I'd be disowned in a matter of seconds, and I value my family life too much.
Well, I read a good part of this.
Right. Well,
I still have no idea who killed her.
Well, I will say that some of the clues in the diary will become more evident once the series begins again. Some of them stick out like sore thumbs, but the careful reader, I think, will find those clues that are more like gum wrappers under the table, things most might not notice. So Peaks fans, in my opinion, should know who the killer is.
It's extraordinary that this diary comes out now. I mean, the old phrase in academics is you publish or perish.
Right.
Here's a woman who's perished, and now she's publishing.
Exactly.
This has got it all backwards we're going on.
Is there stuff you want to share? Any other stuff you want to share about your article?
You want to highlight anything about this article?
Yeah, I think it is about Laura Palmer, and it's obviously about the diary, and we're talking about the diary, but I think it's such an important book. Even if it had absolutely nothing to do with Twin Peaks, I think just everyone should read it anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I don't think there's anything else. I could probably keep a few things back for now.
Are you strictly staying with the source of the diary, or are you using like Firewalk with Me or any other sources, or the first season, or?
I may sort of pull into other things that sort of state my case, but in general, it's about the diary. Yeah, mostly about the diary.
What's interesting about the diary, and like I hope we can talk to Jen Lynch again, because we got to talk to her about Boxing Helena, but we didn't have time to talk about the diary. I think she wrote that maybe 2 or 3 times, the diary. Like she had it and then it got deleted and she had to start over again. And I feel like she might have had to start over maybe a 3rd time, possibly.
Oh my God.
But she did have to do it over and over, and like I don't know. I guess you could think that's drafts, but you don't have it again, so you have to basically come up with the whole book all over again.
Oh God, no! How did that happen? Was it? No, that's my worst nightmare. That's happened to me before. I've lost an entire.
Oh my gosh!
But actually, the second time it worked out better. So.
See, and maybe that's the true with the diary.
Happy accident.
Yeah, maybe a happy accident may improve things. Yeah.
Yes, you never know.
Jennifer Lynch's telling of Laura Palmer's story in the years leading up to her death is about as hard-hitting and honest an account of sexual abuse you can get. The effect of this trauma caused Laura to create Bob, at least her Bob, because the truth of what was really happening to her was too much to bear. She didn't choose this. It was done unto her the second her father led her into the woods at night. A seed was sown in Laura's psyche, tiny at first like a niggling bug, never letting her forget, making her believe she was as bad as she was told by Bob, the demon growing inside her. Bob as a metaphor, the evil that men do. Every act of evil has the potential to create a black seed. It's an endless cycle, perhaps one that can only be stopped by ending the life of the host, something Laura figured out in her last moments. The question is, do your demons die with you?
And what else have you been working on at 25 Years Later's site? I mean, what other articles have you been doing?
Well, I'm working on True Detective with Andrew at the moment, because season 3 is such a good series. Have you been watching?
So I may be the only one that liked the second season, and I really loved the first season, and I want to get into the third season. I haven't had a chance, I haven't had sit time with my wife. My wife and I would watch it together, so it just hasn't happened yet. And I feel like it's been a few weeks now that it's been on the air, maybe
4 or 5,
right? No, not that many, maybe 3 weeks or something like that. Right?
No, it's 5 weeks.
Oh my God!
The first two were together. So.
Okay.
My plan is wait for it to end and watch it all at my leisure with HBO Go.
Yeah.
I love season 1, and I heard this is kind of going back to that feel. And other than Ben, who is the only person I know who likes season 2, season 2 was like the worst.
The funny thing is, it's very Twin Peaks like. You've got the singer at the bar, and I think you've got kind of like dreamy atmosphere, and you've got like
sort of.
I don't know.
I would challenge anybody to say what was the plot. Name 3 characters and what happened.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
No, I have to admit.
What was Vince Vaughn's name?
Vince Vaughn.
Yeah. What was any of their names? And
But you and I are terrible at names in general.
Yeah, I know, but they were not memorable. And I would also argue that in season 2, they gave us 3 miserable people. They didn't give anyone to counterbalance the misery. In the first season, you have a character who is miserable and crazy, and you have one who's kind of the audience going, what is wrong with you, dude? And I think that they work so well together. And then when you just gave us 3 kind of moody, miserable people, I had no one to root for. And then they're just throwing names at you. And I'm like, okay, is this a casino thing? Is there a murder? What's going on? The only thing for me, the redeeming quality was when Vince Vaughn's character, I don't know his name, was walking and he saw his wife, and his wife said, I would die.
That was a good scene.
And he saw her in his hallucination.
Right.
But beyond that, it was just not a good series. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was a letdown.
Without really ruining it for me, I thought I heard something that they make a connection to season 1. Recently, is there some kind of like a loose connection to this season 3 to season 1? Or do you
There's little Easter eggs, I think. There's a few little just hints, but not really as so far. No, but it is really back to its brilliant first series. And Maher, Sharla, Ali, and Stephen Dorff are great. They're really, really brilliant.
He's doing so much good work. I mean, he's got Green Book out right now, and then I think he's involved with something else too. That's recent.
I didn't know Stephen Dorff was in it either.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, and he's brilliant. He's really, really brilliant as well. You wouldn't expect it, and because it's following them over 3 decades, sort of present day, 1980 and 1990, but they really have got the makeup down for, usually aging makeup looks terrible.
Yeah,
but it looks incredible. Really, really, really brilliant. So
cool.
Yeah, it's really, really interesting story. I like sort of being an armchair detective, and I get to with this. It's trying to piece all the bits of the puzzle together. It's enjoyable, really good.
Nobody's really talking about it as much as 1, but I feel like I bet you people are like nervous. People aren't jumping in right away. And I think if the good word comes out and everybody says it's good, I bet you it'll get more chatter as the season progresses. Yeah. Because nothing will ever beat season 1. How the internet was up. Like, we were all trying to guess who the killer was, what was going on. Everybody was talking about it. It was like
Twin Peaks or something.
Yes, it was the show of the summer. That summer,
cool.
we were all glued. You had I remember Patton Oswalt on Twitter. like coming down with these conspiracy theories about and like everybody was into it, and it was a lot of fun. So
yeah, and it's the same with this series. It should have the same effect, whether it will or not. It should, because the story is just as good. And there's enough to try and suss out. Definitely,
Cool.
That's good to hear. Yeah, I'm very excited to see it.
Really good.
Anything else you're watching, Laura?
Well, no, I'm not really writing about too much. I've written a few sort of news articles, and I wrote about Velvet Buzzsaw, which I didn't really enjoy the other day.
I haven't heard good things about it.
About what? What was it?
Was it Buzzsaw?
Velvet Buzzsaw.
Oh, yeah.
It's funny, the trailer looked like it was interesting, but I have not heard anything good about it.
Huh.
Yeah.
I had really high hopes, but it was not great. But no, I'm going to take a bit of a hiatus from writing for a while because we're building our new website. So I'm focusing most of my effort on that.
Is that public knowledge? Are we allowed to share that?
I think so.
Yes,
Okay.
yep. So hopefully March-ish time. Don't know when exactly yet, but around March you should have a new website. So that's exciting.
That'd be awesome. Do you have a favorite Twin Peaks article that one of your peers is working on for this month that you could?
Oh gosh. There's honestly so many.
Yeah.
We have a new writer called David Titterington, and I think it'll definitely be out by the time this airs. He's done a series of articles actually, but the first one is called Jumping Kokopelli, which is about the jumping men and sort of relates to Native American history. And I love that article.
That's intriguing.
I really like sort of good research, and a bit like Gisella's articles go really deep. So he's got 4 articles out in February. So they're all very distinctive and all very interesting and great. Lots of photo evidence as well. So
that's cool.
Got some really brilliant, because we've got secret diaries coming out every Friday, and we've already had Maya, who has spoken about Jen Lynch. And the voice that she created for Laura Palmer, and that's a really great article. And John Bernardi wrote about the audio book, which is just such a wonderful essay about how Cheryl Lee made Laura come to life and how she's almost her, really. And like you said earlier about her voicing Bob as well, and just the amount of heart and soul she put into that. It's a really great article.
Nice.
And then we've also got Rachel Stewart, who is she usually works on our Doctor Who kind of things, but she was introduced to Twin Peaks via The Secret Diary, and I don't think I've ever known anyone to have found Twin Peaks through the book. So that is really, really interesting. That will be out this Friday, which is the 8th of February.
Nice.
And then the week after that, Ali is writing about Bobby and Laura's relationship and how much more fleshed out it is in the book than it is in any of the series or in Fire Walk with Me.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah, just how much more there is to their relationship. And that got me thinking about Bobby when he saw the photo of Laura in series 3 and how he burst into tears. And we didn't ever really see him having that much affection for Laura in any of the series.
Right.
But in the book, we can understand that more. So I don't know what she's written yet. So I don't want to, assume what she's going to write about that. But that was what it made me think of when I thought of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think about it. We never really see Bobby and Laura together. I think, we have the missing pieces where he has a scene with
in the
Laura.
basement.
In the basement,
Yeah,
right? But you never get that. Oh, of course we see them together at the school, and she's like, if you just looked behind you, you would have seen me or something like that. But you don't really get that love relationship, right?
Yeah.
No. It's just that when they shoot the deputy, I think, when Bobby kills the guy, that's probably the only time we really seem together, and that's not really romantic, is it?
No, but she thought it was. Laura thought,
funny,
she thought it was hilarious to her.
Well, yeah.
She thought it was like comedy gold.
That's my favorite scene in all of everything to do with Twin Peaks. I don't know why. I love it. I just think it's just such amazing acting.
Yeah. Laura, have you ever seen Fire Walk with Me in the theater with a group of people?
No, I saw it at the Twin Peaks Festival, so in a big room, but not at a theater.
I mean, well, you saw it with a bunch of people, and it's interesting when you watch that film. We saw it in a theater not that long ago, like a year or two ago.
Right before the new series.
Yeah. And, you know, during that scene, people are laughing. And then, like, when Leland Palmer, when his face right before when he's going to go after them at the end, he looks out the window, everybody starts cracking up because it's the most creepiest looking face. But everybody's like nervously laughing at it.
It's funny how, as a group, how people
react to things.
Right, and we've talked about that even with Sarah Palmer when she screamed in the pilot or in that. Some people really laughed at that, and you say, "Well, this is traumatic." You have a woman who lost her child, but she does it over and over again. And it's almost like a nervous laugh where it's kind of like, "I'm gonna think this is funny because I don't want to feel sad." I guess
it's like the whistling in the dark. It's like when someone laughs at a funeral. You know, it's that.
And I'm the worst person in the world for that. I laugh inappropriately all the time.
This is Rob King with 25 Years Later. Our staff and editors would like to thank you for reading our site. We began as a site dedicated to the analysis of Twin Peaks, but today we are happy to share our expanded material for similarly intricate series, popular culture fandoms, film, and Shudder content. We will continue to extend our love for Twin Peaks' deep exploratory analysis in the fan community as we look to each of these. So please join us as we discuss film releases from A24, Shudder, and Shout Factory, as well as series like Lost, Northern Exposure, and the OA, just to name a few. And you won't want to miss our lineup of interviews from Twin Peaks cast and crew to the directors of Shudder original content and more. And as always, we hope to bring you thoughtful, deep analysis to the series that brought us together, Twin Peaks. So again, thank you always for your time and dialogue with 25YO.
So 25 years later, site is still doing like 2 articles a day. Is that right? Is it?
Even more than that now. I think we're doing 3 articles a day and news stories now. So
wow.
Oh my God. How do you have all the time?
I know. You guys are, I told Andrew the other day, they're like an empire. They've got all these great writers and they're just able to put stuff out daily. I mean, I'm still impressed that every day you guys got this.
Yeah, we are super busy, and I think I'm content and experience manager now.
Wow!
And so I run the schedule, so I'm the nag basically.
They need you. They need you.
Yeah, I think we do a little bit less on weekends. We all need a break now and then.
Yeah.
Monday to Friday, pretty much 3 to 5 articles a day.
Wow. And you need a weekend to watch the content. Right? You have all this content. It's like, you know, we kind of do live in the golden age of TV, but like really, we live in the golden age of everything because it's streaming services are everywhere, and all of them want our attention. And it's gotten to the point of where do you go, and what do you subscribe to? What do you watch?
Right.
And everything's become very hyper focused. I kind of feel like we're to the point where everybody has their own favorite show. We're all really not watching the same things anymore. I mean, there might be a few things, but
thanks to something like 25 Years Later
exactly,
site,
you highlight the best.
They highlight the best, and then you're able to, like, I think it was because of your site that I discovered that Legion is ending next year in June and stuff like that. And so I like that show.
I wrote that.
Yeah, you wrote that, Laura. Thank you. Thank you for
writing. That show's great.
I haven't finished.
I love Legion. Yeah,
it's one of my favorites. Probably now that Twin Peaks is over, it's probably the craziest, wildest show that I really like to watch.
Season 1, I think, is probably the best Marvel show, in my opinion. After seeing season 1, I'm like, I mean, I like Daredevil and everything, but I like Legion's up my alley of weirdness. You know, it's way better.
Absolutely. I think we are going to be writing a bit more about Legion in the future, a bit more of a deep dive, but I don't even know where to start.
Yeah, that's not
it's so complicated. It's more complicated than Twin Peaks in a way because I think, it's such a great show.
It's such a great show. I haven't even finished the second season because my wife stopped and I wanted to watch it with her. But season 2 is like right from the beginning. It's like, where are we? Who are these characters? And it's really out there. I don't know. I don't know if it gets easier by the end of season 2 or if it's probably just as crazy.
Yeah, it ends on quite a big cliffhanger, season 2. It's not a cliffhanger, just a bit of a shock. So season 3 is going to be spectacular, I think. Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad. Thank you for posting and writing something about that, because I was like, I wondered when it was coming back, and now to know it's ending. But every day I get an email sent to me, and I get to know what the articles are. It's like, I want to read about this and read about that. And I think that's a nice touch too. That I don't even have to go to the site. I mean, I don't have to start the site. I can get the email and then go to the site and read the articles.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, it is really cool, and I love doing that as well, because I always know what's happening there. I don't always get to read them, so that's my chance as well when they pop up on my phone.
Yeah,
I can actually read them.
I will say, 25 years later, in my opinion, is better than Entertainment Weekly.
Wow, that's huge.
Now listen, I still read. I read Entertainment Weekly,
Me too.
but I read that thing in 5 seconds. Half the time, there's really nothing really good in it. Right. I mean, there might be 1 or 2 really good articles. I'll read them, but they're like 1 or 2 pages long, and then it goes into something else that I don't know.
I know. I don't know if you and I are just getting too old for that magazine, because I go through, it's like, don't care.
Yes.
Oh, I'll read this. Don't care.
Yeah.
And something like 25 years later say there's
Everything.
so much I like. That,
yeah.
You guys are touching on the movies and the TV.
Yep.
And
so when you guys need like a soundbite, you could say Twin Peaks Unwrapped says we're better than Entertainment Weekly.
Definitely, we'll definitely use that. It might even be our new name.
Better than Entertainment Weekly. That'd be like 25 years later. Better than Entertainment Weekly.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
That sounds good. Yeah, and the new site's going to make that even better, I hope, because it just opens a lot of avenues for even more stuff.
Wow.
So, I can't wait to check it out.
Yeah, it's really exciting. Yeah.
So Laura, if people want to check out the website, they want to follow you, can you tell them how they can do that?
Yeah, it's at 25yearslatersite.com, and then on Twitter we are at 25YL site, and we have a Facebook page as well, which is also 25YL site, and Instagram. It's all the same. So yeah, you can find us on any of those, but yes, go straight to our website, and all brand new website hopefully soon, and we'll see you there.
Well, thank you. I'm looking forward to your article.
And if you have a comment, question, or thought about 25 years later in Twin Peaks Month or Twin Peaks in general, email us at twinpeaksunwrapped@gmail.com. Subscribe to us on iTunes. Leave us a 5-star review. We're also on Google Play. We're on Stitcher. We're on Spotify, which just acquired a podcast division. They're going to try to compete with iTunes big time with podcasting. So that we're already on that platform now, but it sounds like that's going to get very crowded soon. Also, you can like us on Facebook. We're kicking butt.
Yeah,
I think so.
And YouTube, we just hit 1,000 followers, so that's pretty cool. That was huge.
A big thank you to everybody who subscribed to us on YouTube.
Yeah.
It was so cool. 1,000? That's awesome. And how's Twitter going, Ben?
Twitter's awesome. I mean, that's where I live. That's where I am. I always get to check out 25 Years Later site stuff, our partners, and what they're doing. And there's such a great community, and every day they're posting great stuff. So I love Twitter.
So with all that, we will see you guys next week.
The most challenging parts for me to read are the deeply painful parts. During the reading of the diary, there's times where she feels or she knows that someone has read her diary. So there's not even necessarily 100% trust there, but there is such a need and so much pain that has to be expressed. It's a scream for help. For many, many years, the fans have asked for the reading of the diary to happen. I really, really hope that I am able to give them what they want, what they were longing for. I'm so grateful to Jennifer Lynch. Her words and her story and it's so multi-layered and multi-dimensional. What she's able to bring in this diary form, just artistically, is incredible. So I hope to be able to serve her words and the fans in the best way that I can.